morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for our second episode of The Power of Pain. I cannot tell you how excited I am about today's guest. I had the opportunity to feature him on my blog last year as one of our dream catchers of the month, and his story is simply amazing. It took me from tears of sadness to tears of joy, but I'm not going to ruin it for you because I want you to hear it from him himself. Our special guest today is Mr. Michael Segal. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So for those of you who are just now tuning in, the focus of our show is how you can look at being in a painful situation and take that pain and channel it into something positive. And Michael is one of the best examples that I've ever come across of how to take something that seems tragic and go to a better place. Michael, can you tell them a little bit about why you're here?
Well, I was a 19-year-old student at the University of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on my way to become a doctor.
Okay.
My girlfriend Sharon said, "Mike, it's late. I need to get back to my dormitory." That's fine. We headed back to our dormitory in my car. But another gas gauge wasn't empty.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled to the nearby convenience store, said, "Sharon, wait here, I'll be right back as soon as I pay for the gas." And I walked into the store. Unfortunately for me, the store was dismissed of robbery.
Wow. Wow. So what happened when you walked in on the robbery?
One of the three thieves forced me to the back of the store, to the cooler. He pushed me down, shot me in the back of the head. He thought I was dead. Everybody thought I was dead.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Sharon was beginning to worry.
Right.
What's taking Mike so long? She especially began to worry when she saw people in the store and I was not with them. She quickly got out of the car, entered the store. It was empty. She started screaming, "Mike, Mike, where are you?" Just then, the clerk ran behind and screamed, "Let it get down. I've just robbed and shot it." She quickly got down, but screamed, "Have you seen more of my boyfriend?" But he said nothing. Instead, he went to the cooler. He saw me choking on vomit, called the paramedics and the police. The police quickly transferred my case to homicide division.
Wow.
They thought of it in the morning. When I got to the hospital, in the ambulance, the neurosurgeon went home. He thought I'd be dead in the morning. In the morning, when he returned, shocked I was still alive, he told my family he needs to operate, but he said there's a 60% chance of dying on the table. If I pass, 100% chance of my being vegetable. I guess that's why I don't like vegetables. No, seriously, I beat the odds. But 2 days later, my dad told my girlfriend, Sharon, he said, the neurosurgeon told us he'd be a vegetable if he survived. Get on with your life. But Sharon just said, "But Mike is my life."
Wow. Wow.
She dropped out of college to be with me for a semester. And now
You got the girl.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm still learning new parts of this story every time I talk to Mike again, and it still touches my heart in such a powerful way. You know, I think a lot of times we're taught to be a little selfish, and she could have easily walked away.
Correct.
Because she had the blessing of your parents, I think, out of consideration for her. But how powerful is that love that says, "No, I'm not gonna leave because this is my life," and for her to put everything on hold so that she could help take care of you and help you through the rehabilitation process. And you said earlier that at the time you were a med student?
Or studying to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Studying to be an orthopedic surgeon. Tell me a little bit about your own family. Is there a medical background in your family? Do you have siblings? We have We have a shot here.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry, not a shot. We have a photo. We
Okay.
have a photo here. Tell me a little bit about your siblings.
Two of my brothers are both doctors. My oldest is a neurosurgeon,
Wow.
and he's also a lawyer. And my kid brother is a ophthalmologist.
Wow. So there's definitely a clinical theme going through your family. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about in my book, we like to.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I can't say anything without pulling my sister in. She's a realtor.
Okay.
Okay.
So she's a realtor. Very good.
Yeah.
Very successful family.
She's the most successful of all of the kids.
Oh, wow. You might have to deal with that later when you talk to your other siblings. Very good. So,
I'm just kidding.
Of course. One of the things that I wanted to talk about in a chapter that's called Question Your Quandary. It says, distinguish and analyze situations in your life that have resulted in unhealthy outcomes. And I talk about that because Michael and I had a conversation earlier where we recognized that at some point, everybody does experience some form of pain. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. But there are times when we have a tendency to let it linger in a way that becomes unhealthy. And I felt in my friendship that I developed with Michael, he showed me how to respect the moment where you might be upset, but get yourself to a better place so that you can grow from it. We also talk about in the book, define how those outcomes, if they're unhealthy, are impacting you. Determine what the cost will be of continuing to engage in the unhealthy choices. And speak with a professional, whether spiritual or healthcare, who can help you identify the source. And then finally, write down potential solutions to answering your most painful problems and begin practicing one or more. And another thing that I'd like to talk to you about, Michael, is that because you were able to sustain that relationship with your then girlfriend, something very beautiful came out of that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, when I was shot, I was miserable. I didn't want to live. But the more I got better, the more I improved, the easier it was. I tell people before I was hurt, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, helping people with their broken bones. Now I try to help people with their broken spirits. I work at a trauma hospital, trying to put a smile on people's faces. So when I was hurt, I wanted to, everything was wonderful, but then I was shot, everything was terrible. And I was sad, very sad. But I learned to focus on the positive, okay, eventually.
And it takes time sometimes.
Exactly.
That can be challenging.
And even today, sometimes on the anniversary of my walking into the store, I try to not do it, but I feel badly because I think, what if?
Wow.
But not this past year, because instead of walking into the store on February the 17th, 1981, I was able to walk with my wife, my daughter, down the aisle on February the 17th, 2019.
Very good.
A glorious day.
I'm sure. Let's talk about this daughter. There's a beautiful picture of your daughter and your wife.
Thank you.
And it reminds me of the courage that you had to persevere. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I actually live in Colorado right now, and one of the most beautiful things about being there is the snow and the mountains. However, I am not quite courageous enough to go skiing. And as we were preparing for today and I was looking at some footage, I found a historical video of Michael Segal many years ago doing the very thing that I have not yet developed the courage to do. Let's take a look.
Another skier caught our attention today up on the hill. He's not a Special Olympian, but a champion with challenges all his own. Tiffany Murray brings you his inspiring story.
Mike Segal lives by a little saying from his dad.
Mile by mile is a trial, yard by yard it's hard, but inch by inch is a cinch.
And that's just how Segal's taking this mountain, inch by inch.
1, 2, 3, go!
This is Segal's very first time on a rope tow, but it's not the first hill he's climbed.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
Nearly 20 years ago, Segal was a pre-med student in Texas. One night, he went into a convenience store. A robbery was in progress.
One of the 3 thieves told me to walk to the back of the store to the cooler, where he pushed me down, shot me in the back of the head, execution style.
Segal was left for dead.
The police immediately transferred my case over to homicide.
Segal survived, but doctors offered almost no hope.
He said I would probably never walk, talk, basically be a vegetable.
As you can see, Segal beat those odds. He never gave up.
I thought to myself, who are you to tell me what I can and cannot do?
Segal went on to graduate from college at the top of his class, and he keeps challenging himself every day.
I feel in order to experience the beauty and sweetness in life, you have to experience the bitterness.
And that's a little saying for us all to live by. Tiffany Murray, Channel 6 News.
And how interesting. They did literally just run into him up on the mountain today.
Yeah, what an inspiration.
Yeah, what a neat story. Segal's been featured on national talk shows and in Newsweek magazine. Last night, he was the keynote speaker at Boise State's Celebration of Abilities. It's part of the university's 10-day tribute to Martin Luther King, Jr.
All right, so I wanted to end on that note from this particular segment because it made me think about one of the most important chapters in the book, The Power of Your Pain, and that's chapter 6. And chapter 6 is entitled, Pain Motivates the Masses. So I was really excited to learn that Michael has had such an amazing influence on other people in their journey to recover from their pain. And I want to talk about what I had here right at the end of the chapter. Number 1, distinguish what message resonates with you as it relates to overcoming your pain. And here's where he's done an amazing job. Explore ways to inspire others to work through and/or overcome overwhelming pain, and consider how you can be actively involved in standing with others. So I want you to talk about a little bit of where this positive attitude that you've had about your experience has given you so many other opportunities. You've been on Great Day Houston multiple times. I believe you were on the Sally Jesse Raphael talk show many years ago. We have a picture, you were speaking at NASA. You were speaking in Atlanta last weekend. Tell us more about that.
Well, I love everything I do. I work at the hospital, trying to, like I said, put a smile on people's faces. Nobody wants to be in the hospital, especially trauma. Okay, but it's important to cry, but it's also important to laugh. Okay, I try to put a smile on people's faces. I speak, I write stories. I love everything I do.
Weren't you also featured in Chicken Soup for the Soul?
I've been in many chicken soup stories.
Oh, very good.
Book.
Very good.
Yeah.
Tell us about your speaking engagement from this previous weekend in Atlanta.
Well, I'm Jewish, and this past every Friday, February is Jewish Disability Month. So they asked me to speak at a synagogue near Atlanta.
Wow.
I tell my story and about I'm not so special. Everybody has their own obstacle. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own pain. It's important to overcome, to try to overcome the obstacles.
And when you say obstacles, I have to ask you, because I'm still a little bit of a scary cat. How on earth did you get on those skis in that video?
Look, the person who I love to speak, and the person who asked me to speak after my talk was over on overcoming obstacles, he said, do you want to speak, to ski tomorrow? I had never skied in my life.
Wow.
But I had just given a talk on overcoming obstacles. So I said, okay. The next morning, we went skiing. And that's how I overcame that obstacle.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And I want to talk a little bit about when we saw the video. We know that the video happened some time ago. Now you have celebrated the 39th anniversary of that event. But you mentioned something earlier that has made that day really, really special when it may have otherwise seemed very traumatic. Tell us why, again, that day is so special to you now.
Well, every day, even though I tried to be positive,
Right.
on the date of my walking into the store, I'm sad. But not this year or this past year, because on this past year, instead of walking into the store, I was able to walk with my daughter down the aisle.
I think we have a photograph of that. Let's see that photograph.
She got married.
She is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I definitely see both you and Mom in that face.
Well, especially Mom.
That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. So, what would you say, Mike, are your goals for the future? If there was something that you could say to someone in the audience right now that is experiencing a tremendous amount of pain, or they've gone through some trauma, what would you suggest to help them to get to a better place?
Like my dad says, he taught me a corny but true saying when I was hurt. He said, mile by mile is a trial, yard by yard is hard, but inch by inch is a cinch, one step at a time. And just try to put a smile on people's faces.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, as you know, Mike is still an inspirational speaker. If you would like to have him to speak at one of your events, you can contact him at the website below his name, and that's www.inspirationbymike. Inspirationbymike.com.
Okay.
You want to add anything to that?
You did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. If you would like to get your own copy of The Power of Your Pain, you can visit my website at www.carlammbrown.com. Thank you. This is what the book looks like. There's a tab for the e-store. And I hope that this session has been as encouraging and inspiring to you as it has been to me. You can also find out more about Mike's story on my blog, carlammbrown.wordpress.com, and read the feature that we have for him as a dream catcher. Thanks so much for joining us today, and don't miss the next one. You'll absolutely love it. I'm Carla Michelle.